Hi everybody, welcome to Dandelion Cottage and Watercolor Wednesday. I'm Leslie Watkins. Hi everybody, I have something exciting for you today, I hope. I hope you're going to like it. As you know, I've been working on the series of the little book that I've been making using the Storytime Moments collection. So the book is finished. I've done a lot of different paper crafting projects on the various spreads within the book, and I've done some paintings. And today I want to make, start to make, because this is going to be a 2-day project, but today I want to start to make a box that will hold the book. So I want to give you a little preview of what I have in mind, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start painting the background and showing you some of the die cut elements that I want to incorporate into the lid. I'm pretty excited about this. I've been collecting some nice little trinkets and materials and ideas for how I want to decorate the cover of the box. And I'm going to take you along with me. So let's get started. So the little book looks like this. And I'm not going to show you the inside because that's a whole other video. You can go to my YouTube channel at Dandelion Cottage Design and find a flip through. In fact, there's an entire playlist that will show you many of the steps and many of the projects that I incorporated into this little book. And I'm going to be continuing to add on to that playlist, so check in there frequently. Make sure you're subscribed so that you get an announcement or a notification when I post something new. But this is the cover of the book, so I used a crumb cake base for the book cover, and then I used a pecan pie cardstock. Now all of these materials I will include on the materials list, and many of them are still available, so you should be able to find them pretty easily. Also, I have a mat. Let me get my pointer here, and I'll zoom you in a little bit. Okay, so I've got the crumb cake book cover. I've got the pecan pie mat, which is this beautiful kind of a cool brown tone. Then I've got a very vanilla mat here, which is a creamy off-white color. And then I've got my painting, which is the Fluid 100 paper. Now I did go ahead and I put a protective coating on here so that it would hold up under a lot of handling, so I'll do that again. And then this little scene was painted with watercolors. So I'm going to imitate this kind of an idea. Now, when I did the book cover, I used two of the characters from the Storybook Friends stamp set. So I used this little girl bunny and this little boy bunny, and I just stamped them right on top of my watercolor to bring it all together. I also stamped this stone wall in the background, and then here you have this little kind of foreground detail of a garden patch, and it looks like there's little carrots and things like that. And so I just kind of stamped that along the foreground. So I'm going to do something similar to that, except this time I want to incorporate more of the tools, the veggies, and the more of a gardening theme to the cover of the box. Now in this set, you get this interesting die down here, okay? And this is meant to be a ground plane die of a garden patch, and it's got a couple of cuts so that you can actually take these little carrots and tuck them down inside there and have a little interactive thing going on. So I want to incorporate that and then many of these other things once I get to the decorating part of the project. Now, in the past, I have done a similar kind of an idea. So here's a box that I made to house one of my design journals. If I remember correctly, I think this one was called the Scrap Busting Design Journal, something like that. I'll have to look that up. But if you go to my YouTube channel, you should be able to find some videos on how I put this together. But this box was designed to hold the journal, and you can see I've got some thumb holes on the side, and the cover is very decorative. And there's my journal on the inside, so that is similar in size to this journal. So I think you can see that they're very close. The only difference is this journal was super duper chunky. So you can see the thickness of the spine here, and then of course the projects grew and it got thicker and thicker. But I started out with a, looks like a 2 1/4 inch spine on this one. I'm going to modify the measurements to custom fit this journal. And this journal only measures an inch in the spine, but it did grow, okay, so it is starting to gape a little bit on the other side. So I want to make sure that I've got plenty of room for that. So this is about 2 inches or so, give or take. All right, so to prep for all of this, I've gone ahead and I've assembled a few odds and ends. So I've got my 12 by 12 crumb cake base. That's what I'm going to be using for the box top and the box bottom. And then I've got some pieces here. So remember, mimicking the front of the journal, I have a pecan pie base, I'm sorry, a crumb cake base, which is going to be the 12 by 12 that I make the box top out of. But I've got a pecan pie mat. Then I have my Fluid 100 where I'm going to be painting my watercolor today. And then I have a very vanilla cardstock mat that I will be adhering to that to give that a little more support, and that will be mounted on there like so. And I'm also thinking about adding some of this really nice stitching detail, this zigzag stitching from the machine as well. Now here's where it gets interesting. So with this set, I have all these garden tools and plants. And so I've gone ahead and I've stamped out a bunch of them, and I'm going to be finishing painting them. I've just gotten started, and this is also the Fluid 100 watercolor paper. Once these are, the painting is finished on these, I'm going to go ahead and cut them out, and I may or may not emboss them with a little shiny surface or some sort of a protective layer. So I'll have to decide about that. But what I want to show you is coming back to this thing again. So this is what that die cuts out. And it's kind of interesting because it's not a complete cutout. So let me see if I can get this so that you can see it nicely. All right, so you see I've got two here, so I'll just snip those apart. Okay, so when you take them, I just took one little scrap of paper and I die cut it. Excuse me. Did everybody bring coffee today? It's time for coffee. Okay. So what I did was I took a little scrap of the pecan pie because I wanted this to coordinate with the mat. So I wanted to have the same kind of a color. And you can see that that matches nicely right there. And let's get rid of these scraps. Now my my book is actually a vertical format. So if I can get this on the screen nicely. So it's going to look something like this. And so these pieces will go along the ground plane. And I'll probably, I'm not sure how many I'm going to put here, but I have 4 of them ready to go. And I'm just going to make a mounded area in the foreground where I will have all of my veggies and some of the gardening tools and things like that, which means that, and if I just take this away, so if I indicate on my paper here that this area is going to be for the foreground, I can reserve this middle ground, maybe having a couple of the bunnies or one of the bunnies in the background doing some sort of gardening activity. And then all of this area then is going to go back into the distance and be a nice little landscape painting. And that, my friends, is what we're going to do today. So I just wanted to give you a little preview to let you know what my thinking is and to show you how I begin to put these ideas together. Now, while I'm here, I just want to take a minute to remind you that this Saturday, coming right up, we're going to have our free watercolor class. This is a Zoom, so you're going to have the opportunity to ask me questions and see what I'm doing. And during that watercolor lesson, at the end, if you stay till the end, I'm going to give you a flip through of the little book so that you can take a look at that and ask any questions that you may have about that as well. So in order to come to the Zoom, you need your special link, and you subscribe to Notes from Dandelion Cottage, and I will get you on the mailing list, and you will look in your email for a special announcement that has the registration form, and that way you'll be able to sign up, you'll be able to get your link, and you can join us. It's only going to be about an hour and a half. It's at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. So save the date. That's coming up March 8th, Saturday, and I'd love to see you there. So sign up for Notes. Don't wait, because there's only so many people that I can fit into the class, into the Zoom, and it's filling up. So you don't want to miss that. Okay, so let's get back to our painting. I'm going to put these things down. We're not going to need these for the moment. Okay. So I'm going to take a bigger brush and my spritzer, and actually I can see that this is going to be roughly 1/3 of a page down. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to lighten up that pencil line because I don't want that to show. And to do that, I have a kneaded rubber eraser. Okay, and by the way, all of the materials, not all of them, but comparable materials that you see me using here to do this painting are available in the Watercolor Paintbox Starter Kit. So if you're just getting started with watercolor, please go to my website at watercolorpaintbox.com and you'll see all the materials and supplies that are available in there. Alright, so now I'm going to take my spritzer, going to give that a light spritzing. This is nice thick paper. This is the Watercolor Fluid 100 watercolor paper. It's 140-pound paper, which means that it has a fairly thick core, so it's going to absorb all of that moisture into that core, and it takes a minute or two. I'm going to start with my biggest brush, and off to the side here I have my paints. So I've got yellow, red, and blue, and I'm just going to begin by putting yellow, red, and blue on my paper. So I'm just gonna do a wash of color. And so I'm gonna grab some of my blue. And you can see that my paper is fairly well saturated, so the color is moving very nicely. Going to get into my red, coming down, and then my yellow. All right, so now I've got all the colors of the rainbow represented here, and now I can go back in. So while the sky is still damp, I can take some stronger mixture and just sort of indicate some clouds. I can grab a paper towel and I can just lift some of those cloud shapes out like so. And maybe in the background we can have a, I don't know, maybe some kind of a mountain range or a tree line, something going on back there. We'll get back to that later. Then I'm going to have my area, mixing up my yellow and my blue together now to create a kind of a medium green. So I'm just going to drop that in. And then finally, I'm going to mix it all together. So my yellow, my red, and my blue, and I'll show you what that looks like. So I'm just all three together to get a nice neutral tone. And this is going to be the ground plane in the foreground. Now, if I go back to my pecan pie, I can look at that and make a couple of little adjustments because I want this to blend in. So I'm just going to add a little more blue to my mixture. Get that a little bit closer. It's looking pretty good. Maybe a drop more red. And this does not have to be perfect. I just want the I don't want these pecan pie pieces to look as though they're stuck on there. I want them to blend into the rest of the painting behind. So that will work. I think you can see that. All right. And I'm going to go ahead now. I'm going to put this aside and I'm going to let this dry because I'm done with this for the minute till it dries. And I'm going to grab my tools and I'm just going to add a few touches here and there to these things. They're just about halfway done. I'm going to use a slightly smaller brush. So here's my garden fork. Any gardeners out there? I'm an avid gardener. I do a lot of gardening here at Dandelion Cottage. And I've been here quite a while now. It's going on almost 20 years. And so a lot of the gardening plantings that I did originally are beginning to come into maturity. So it's really starting to come together. Gardening is a long play plan. You have to plan well in advance if you want to incorporate some of these larger specimens and you're starting from scratch. So that's all starting to happen now. But the real magic is with the wildlife, because now as my trees and my shrubs are creating a habitat, I'm starting to see the garden come to life. So more and more birds, more and more species of birds, all different kinds of animals. I have resident opossum, raccoons, skunk, porcupine, the occasional bear, although I don't encourage them to stick around because I don't want them to wreck my feeders and all the other stuff. But they're there. We have coyote and bobcats. So it's quite the cast of characters, and it's very exciting to see them come through the garden. I understand that this is their world, and I'm just the visitor here, and so I don't encourage the deer to come and nibble on the plants or the bear to come and get into mischief, but I try to tolerate as many of them as possible, and I really enjoy seeing them. Oh, and did I mention the bunny? Since we're on a bunny theme here, and the squirrels and the chipmunks, I guess I should mention that I have a beautiful bunny that comes out every evening, late afternoon, and I love to see him out there. Of course, the chipmunks and the squirrels are around all the time. So yeah, when I saw this stamp set and the theme, I kind of fell in love, because this is pretty much all about the things that I really enjoy, combining my watercolor, my paper crafting, and nature. What could be better? All right, so I'm just adding a little bit of dimension to my tools. I'll be able to continue working on them once they're cut out, because no doubt I'm going to have to sponge the edges and maybe do a little bit of fine-tuning. But for now, these are looking very cute. I'll have to come back in and do another pass on there. But let's get after these flower pots. Now again, I'm just using my 3 primaries, yellow, red, and blue. So now I'm just making a slight adjustment to add a little more of a kind of a red and yellow mixture to get this terracotta tone. I'm just going to put a little bit extra color on here. If anybody has any questions at all, please just put them in the comments. I'll be checking out the comments in just a minute. See if I can answer anything for you. I'm just going in and blending. Here we go. Just takes a few minutes. You don't need a lot of materials. You don't need a lot of different colors. Just mix what you need as you go. I think I'm going to have to do several more carrots though to get the garden looking kind of lush. So I'm going to have to do a little more stamping for the carrots. But I think you get the idea. All right, now I'm just mixing up a little bit of my yellow and blue again to get some of these greens. Inside of my watering can. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and finish these up. I'm going to finish them up off camera. And tomorrow, when I come back at 12 noon for Paper Crafting Thursday, I will have all the pieces ready and assembled, and we will get this box top put together, and I think it's going to be really cute. I'm excited about it. So I hope to see you then. Remember, don't wait to sign up for notes from Dandelion Cottage. The free Zoom class is coming right up this Saturday, March 8th at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. And you're going to have all sorts of time for question and answer. There's going to be the special flip through of the little book, and I'll also be able to show you the completed box with how the book fits inside. So I hope to see you then. In the meantime, stay creative, stay happy.